As I've said before in other videos and other platforms that I've been on, I'm the only midwife in North America that has, or birth worker before I became a midwife, traditional midwife to be exact, um, who has done any sort of hands on um, field work. Okay, hands on field work with my own um, observational, case studies, and and have written down my observations, and not only have hundreds of my own notes, but have systemized my observations in ebook publications, which I have since taken down, since I've already stated in another video that unfortunately health major health websites have mined and stolen my work, and so there is this refusal to acknowledge the fact that first of all that CPEG or cryptic pregnancy and extended gestation is a real thing, and that it actually happens, and and there's a lot more acceptance of CPEG on other continents. The North American and Western continents, European continents, are the most fiercely in denial of this phenomenon. In my extensive experience at this point, the reason why the unacknowledgement keeps is so tenacious, and not just. Let me be clear that it's not just the medical field. It's not just the medical practice, the Western medical practice. Okay, it's also in the women themselves. Okay, overall there is this fierce denial or fierce inability and desire for the phenomenon not to be real, to the point where when the vast majority of women reach out to me, um, they already have decided. What I've noticed in my extensive field work and observation and personal case studies with these women is that the vast majority are already have pre-decided that this is a fantasy and that this needs to stay a fantasy. And so if I confirm it as real through actual intuitive and experiential observation, then this is too much for them. On the other hand, there are women who have made this experience the only way they could even survive the phenomenon within themselves, and the ostracization, like being ostracized in their families, abused by their health providers. The only way they could survive this, like the vast majority of Western women that I have met, or Westernized women that I've met, the only way they could survive this experience is by making it almost like a fantastical, magical experience that doesn't have any basis in biology, and that's not correct either. If I'm honest with you, the work with CPEG, I mean, there's so much to be shared. There's so much advocacy on my end and through my work, and yet the vast majority refuse to fully acknowledge the work that I've done as mine, and the vast majority of women themselves refuse to give full acknowledgement to the work that I've done, and honestly, in a lot of ways, most especially to their own experiences, because they've already pre-decided that this is not real. And even if they don't consciously want to think that, this is a deeply rooted, entrenched subconscious desire that often raises its ugly head and breaks the surface. And tragically prevents moving forward. You know, if there was any other, health provider, alternative or not, and I'm in the alternative field, um, then I have received some basic medical training, throughout my life. I've been certified in, CPR, and I was a lifeguard, and like certain basic, even search and rescue, survival stuff like that. So, and I'm continuing on with that education. Um, but I'm basically in the alternative field and the traditional medicinal field, and by choice. I don't want to become a medicalized midwife. For a reason. I have noticed that even if women can embrace the fact that CPEG is real, okay, for themselves. I have noticed that there is an entrenched subconscious notion that does raise its ugly head, that prevents moving forward. There's this entrenched notion, subconscious notion that I'm not real, that a traditional midwifery isn't real, and that there's a lot of shame regarding traditional medicine, traditional healers of, well, because of European colonization, because of the years of brutality, the hundreds of years, the centuries of brutality, and in entrenched woundings and stigmatizing of being, first of all, from root cultures, that have ancient wisdom, practices, medicine, and then that knowledge and that wisdom is then, well, at this point it's caught up in almost like a superstition, and at this point really this toxic cycle of lies that on one end of the spectrum, it's like, that the traditional medicine that comes from the earth, that comes from ancient wisdom, is, well, that is dangerous, that it's fake, that it's just magic, that kind of stuff that's kind of lying there. But then on the other end, which, both end up in the same camp, in the same place, that, on the other end, there's this there's this commoditization, this monetizing of traditional medicine, and Western modern culture acting as if it is the source of this medicine, when modern Western culture has annihilated its root system and has gutted its root system. And so these ancient practices and these ancient wisdom in the earth and in the spirit, and where those two meet, the meeting place of those two, which is at the root of traditional healing, it these medicines are then sold and practiced divorced from the root system.